Here's a question mark for you. Should you personally have your own podcast? My answer is absolutely yes, you should. Now, why would you want to have your own podcast? My buddy, Matt Johnson, he wrote the book called Micro Famous, specifically for realtors, but for anybody really. But he's a realtor himself, so he had a lot of great ideas around this. And one of the ideas that I thought was really, really good is this concept of creating a podcast to increase your influence in your local market. Now, why would you do this? So there's a lot of reasons. Number one, you can focus this podcast on the niche you want to serve. So it helps you become more of an expert in that niche, but it also creates more authority because when people hear you and listen to you frequently, you become more of an authority figure in there. But here's another bigger kind of target for this is that you can connect with the people that are on your target list for not recruiting, but for, well, recruiting people to come on your podcast, but for also just connection. And if you had this, think about this concept for a second. Imagine writing down a list of the top 10 or top 20 or top 50 people in your community that you like to meet, and go big. Go with the biggest people in your community, like the movers and shakers, the people that are running the hospitals, the people that are running the biggest businesses in your community, the people that are the mayor, the public works director, whoever you think is the movers and shakers, the really high level people in your community. Make a list of those people. By creating a podcast, it gives you a reason to reach out and invite them to come on the show. And by the way, the bigger the person, the personality, the more likely the podcast is going to be more popular. You're going to get a lot more traffic out of it. So you invite them to come on the podcast, and now you're going to interview them for 30 or 40 minutes, just a list of questions. Podcasting is one of the easiest things you can do because all you're doing is asking questions. You can even give them a list of questions before the podcast. And they're going to love it because they get their ego stroked. I'm going on to a podcast today. It doesn't have to be big. You can be starting out. You can say, I'm starting a podcast. I'd love you to be my first guest. They're going to be so thrilled that you do it. And by doing this, you're going to create a relationship. That relationship, that starting point, can be the start of a great thing for you, right? You can lead to a lot of other things that'll be that start, this kind of genesis point for your relationship. And then you put it out on social media. Now, the beauty of creating long form content like a podcast is I can then chop it up using a system like Opus Pro. If you haven't seen that, that's a great system, which will take a podcast and chop it into 60-second segments, which I can then push out onto social media using something like Repurpose.ai, where you can push it out on all your favorite platforms, YouTube Shorts and TikTok and Instagram or wherever you're pushing it out. And it's all instantaneous, and it all creates this synergy that you are doing something unique and special, and it will really help you gain authority and credibility in your market. And how expensive is this? Super inexpensive. I personally run my whole podcast through a system called buzzsprout.com. I think it cost me $12 a month. So inexpensive. To create the intro and outro, I used Fiverr, Fiverr.com. I hired somebody out of the country. They created a little music for me, a little intro, voiceover. Sounds great, professional. Use that. Pretty easy. So any of you that are watching this that are thinking, you know what, I've thought about doing a podcast, but I've been afraid of it. Just set a goal. Just set a goal of doing one podcast a month, 12 of them for the year. You don't have to do one a week. Don't get crazy. One a month for the next 12 months, and watch what happens with your business as a result. In my opinion, it's one of the best lead gen sources for you and the best ways to establish credibility and authority in your market. And it creates amazing content. So there's a few ideas. Guys, if you like this and you want more, join us over at eRealEstateCoach.com. Check us out. We got an incredible coaching program over there called The Path. It's designed to help you grow your business quickly. So have a great day. Good selling. We'll see you next time.